Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to today's sharing of Harmonize to Energize. Raise your hand if you can hear me okay. Okay, good. And is the picture reasonably clear? Okay, good. So I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're having an enjoyable week, peaceful if possible. Joyful, definitely. So welcome, particularly any new people, to Harmonize to Energize. This is where we practice the art of Jin Shin Jyutsu at the self-help level. And Jin Shin Jyutsu is an art of harmonizing energy as it travels through the body, through these energy pathways. In Jin Shin Jyutsu, we use what we call 26 safety energy locks to harmonize the energy so that it can move through these pathways much more congruently. We tend to interfere with congruence by our thoughts, words, and deeds. Jin Shin Jyutsu is a simple way of reversing that and reharmonizing our energy so that everything flows more harmoniously. So, what we're going to do today is we'll continue our exploration of page 28, Self-Help Book 3, where Mary was giving us an early glimpse into the order of creation. And we talked about how third depth liver function is unmanifest, but it creates all the other organ functions in the body before it returns back to the primordial or primal fire of what we call sixth depth, which is the reflection of the light from the seventh depth coming into the body to be. And last week we touched on the last manifestation by the liver energy, which was kidney and bladder. And at this point, kidney and bladder make a bridge back into the sixth depth, where they are replenished, and then the sixth depth begins to support again the third depth liver, which then starts the order of creation and also the order of the pulses that we hear on our wrist. Now, how does sixth depth manage to do all this? Well, it has helpers, and they're known as the umbilicus and diaphragm. And one helps the energy move up the back and the other helps the energy move down the front. So subsequently, that's why we talk about sixth depth as moving energy up the back, down the front, because it has these helpers. They move the energy on behalf of the primordial fire. And as I've been recently doing, I will continue to do, I've been looking at Walter Rodriguez Krause's descriptions in her card set. For those of you who know Walter or even don't, she is an international instructor for Jin Shin Jyutsu, and she published Health is in Your Hands, plug. And these are cards which give very precise and very clear descriptions of Jin Shin Jyutsu as an overview. So let's just look at what she says, or I'll look at what she says. If you've got the cards, you can look at them too, about the sixth depth, from where this primordial fire is found, where it lives and has its being. And she says, the primordial fire, the I am, the will to be, all-encompassing, born from the primordial source of all being. So that's primal, that's the deepest level of our physical being, and carried down by the light of the seventh depth. So let's just say light coming down from a subtler realm, manifests itself as the sixth depth, the blueprint of the body to be, or the personal self. The light of the seventh depth emits the spark that becomes our personal spark of life and breath of life. Energy swirls downward, and it's important to maybe mention here that energy spirals or swirls in a positive direction as it comes down, and also as a positive direction as it goes back up. Positive movement harmonizes our energy field. The opposite movement, the negative, can be a disharmonizer. Of course, we can talk in terms of polarity, that negative needs positive and positive needs negative to balance. But in terms of how the energy moves, the spirals move more harmoniously when they're creating a positive spiral. It's a much more powerful, bright attunement which clarifies energy. Whereas with the negative energy, it tends to bring things back down into a denser frequency, if I'm making sense here. Anyway, what else does she say? Here in the sixth depth, the energy flows originate that invisibly permeate our whole being. Cosmic energy continuously flows through it and us, supplying us with the necessary daily life energy. When we are sick and exhausted, the flows of the sixth depth reinvigorate and remind us of the perfect blueprint of energy. Sounds like I need some sixth depth flows when there's some fatigue. So flows that support sixth depth, diaphragm and umbilicus energy. And those of you that have studied Jin Shin Jyutsu will find them in textbook 2. And those that haven't may have a copy of the Touch of Healing. And in the Touch of Healing, it's on page 120 onwards. And Mary, or it was actually Alice with Mary and Tom Monte, just gave normally the first step of each flow. And the first step of any flow, generally speaking, the first or the last step, or sometimes the first 2 steps of any flow, are self-helps. All right. So never feel that just because Mary didn't write them in the self-help books, that you can't do self-help for any of these flows. You can. However, particularly with the diaphragm flow in the book, it's not so easy to do self-help as written. So when you begin to understand how the flows go through the body, you can create your own versions of self-help, which are slightly different to the first steps of some of the flows. But it's okay, because it works, because it's congruent with the way the flow goes through the body. And I often hear a lot of people say, well, you know, it doesn't say that in the book. Well, look at the flow. See where the flow goes. Mary chose, or Jiro Marai chose those flows, apparently because they were mathematically calculated to give the most expeditious movement of energy from energy lock to energy lock. Don't ask me how Master Marai did that. Some people hazard a guess. I suggest he was a scientist. He probably experimented just simply by placing his hands on his own body or other people and watched and felt the energy as it flowed and decided that that was the quickest route. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe there was some other theory or theorem that he used. But as I say, I'm not aware of it, and I don't know that many people are aware of it. So we just say it was a mathematical creation or theorem or a logarithm that Master Marai, as a scientist, worked out. If it bothers you that that's not clear enough, maybe speak to some of the teachers that studied with Haruki Kato or his son. They may have more insight into that. So anyway, more importantly for Harmonize to Energize, we practice what I just preached. And we do that in 4 sets of 9 breaths. And the breath facilitates the movement of the 7th depth into 6th depth. In other words, the light as it moves into form. And as we breathe out, we create a space for that spiral to move down the front of the body. And in Jin Shin Jyutsu, we say it moves from the back of our head, the 4, safety energy lock, through the groin area, the 15, to the big toes. And then as it moves back or ascends the spine, as the 6th step does, down the front, up the back, it moves back from the big toe through the 15 area again, the groin, but all the way round, the 2 as well, and all the way back up to the 4. And as I said earlier, it does this in a spiral. And as we exhale, not in any particular way, in other words, in through the mouth, out through the mouth, whatever's comfortable for you, we're letting go of all that which we don't need. And the light is encouraging that movement of toxins or blockages, whichever word works for you. It's encouraging that movement to move forward and to release. And as it goes down through the groin, down to the feet, it goes into the earth. And Mother Earth has all these minerals and water and everything, and it takes away what we don't need. And then the cosmic purified area energy comes from 360 degrees, which includes the earth energy, the cosmic purified energy, because there's this regeneration. And those of you that have studied Jin Shin Jyutsu will know that the regeneration flows begin in the feet, which are closest to the earth. So there's this regeneration principle, a polarity between heaven above the head and earth, and then the polarity between earth and heaven. Down the front, up the back. So working with umbilicus and diaphragm energy, the helpers of the 6th depth, one has an ascending movement, but actually helps the energy descend, which is the diaphragm, and the umbilicus, which has a descending, helps the energy ascend. That's why when we do such flows as 11:15, 11:25, 11:15 is helping the back by releasing the front, and the 11:25 is helping the front by releasing the back. That is why that little conundrum is taught. So on the finger flows, you'll see, if you look at the flow, the umbilicus and the diaphragm work or move through the middle finger and the ring finger. And so you can hold both of them, if you like, or one of them, if you like, whichever, left or right. And we're going to do that for our first practice. And then we're going to look at the diaphragm self-help, which is not the first step in the book. It's just understanding how the flow goes. And you can either have your right hand on your left number 14 or your left hand on your right 14, whichever. And the opposite hand will go on the opposite 19. So it looks like this, 14 and opposite 19. That's diaphragm, all right? So play with that and see what it feels like first, if it feels comfortable, this one or this one, whichever. The umbilicus is just a movement up to safety energy lock 20. And the same, sorry, oops, did I say, let me double check that. Yeah, that's right. 20, you move your hand from the 14 to the 20 with the same side 19, okay? If that's making sense, or if it's not making sense, it will. And then finally, a very important 6th depth flow, which we always do, is give yourself a hug, which taps into the 6th depth by opening up the chest area, opening up, here we have the small intestine function, the side of the shoulder blade. And here at the front, we have the lung. And these are both part of the 5th and 2nd depth, which is harmonized by the 6th depth. So we're actually harmonizing fifth and second depth through sixth depth. So without further ado, let us begin. And we'll begin with either left hand or right hand, holding left or right, middle finger and ring finger. And just hold them. You can place your thumb on the palm side of the fingers like that, and the rest of the fingers behind them. Either one, whichever way you're going to hold. And then place them in your 15 or groin area. Close your eyes, drop your shoulders, and breathe out. And feel that energy moving from the back of the head through the groin to the big toe as it moves down the body, and then back from the big toe through the hip line, 15-2, up to the head on the inhale. So we do that 8 more times. And as we exhale, we're releasing the dirt, the dust, and the greasy grime, that which we no longer need. And inhaling the light from the 7th depth through the 6th depth spine, feeding, regenerating our cells. And the 7th depth light is like an umbrella that's 360 degrees of energy. And when we feel a pulsation in those fingers, like you would at the radial artery, then we know that the energy is making a connection. It is moving. It's moving through our body via the blood, and we're feeling that blood pulsation representing the congruent flow of energy. And as you're releasing the energy, and as it travels to your feet, see if you can feel the connection between your feet and the earth, grounding you, and then allowing regeneration of energy from the feet up the spine. No worries if you can't feel that, but it's a good, healthy sign if you can, that the energy is moving from heaven to earth unobstructed. and then from earth to heaven, unobstructed. As you come to the ninth exhalation, inhalation, just slip into the neutral zone and witness how you feel. Observe how you feel, where you might be feeling certain types of sensations. Feelings generally precede thoughts. When we don't feel so good, the thoughts tend to be a little off. When we do practices such as this, we calm the nervous system, we bring peace to the heart, and our emotions will tend to move towards harmony. So good. The second set of practices, the second set of 9 exhalation inhalations, we'll be using this step from the flow of the diaphragm energy. And as I said, the diaphragm is actually an ascending energy, but it actually helps the energy to descend. And that's the equivalent of 11 and 25. That simple flow helping diaphragm. We could have done the 11 and 25. That's what is taught in the Touch of Healing. But let's do one hand on the 14 and the other hand on the opposite 19. And you can choose left 14, right 14, and then the opposite 19. The 19 is in the elbow joint crease here and between the 2 tendons on the outer layer of the elbow joint. And the 14 is under the rib cage. So holding that, whichever side, close your eyes. And I find that this flow, diaphragm function actually is like a shield that protects the heart. And when people, unfortunately, may have a heart attack, it's not the actual heart that was weak, it was the diaphragm energy that got weakened and no longer shielded the heart from too much stress. So look after your diaphragm, especially these days when there's a lot of challenges for folks. Anyway, let us begin. 9 exhalations, inhalations. Some of you may notice that the diaphragm muscle is beginning to expand and contract doing this. And this will assist diaphragmatic breathing, which is said to be the most centering, stabilizing type of breathing. And maybe you can even feel the energy as it's moving and allowing energy to go down the front, moving up the back to allow energy to go down the front. Just really let go, really surrender as you exhale. And again, see if you can feel that connection with your feet and toes to the earth beneath. And then as the regenerated energy rises up the back, in tune with the diaphragm, cosmic purified energy, cleaning our energy centers, giving us more energy. Allowing us to receive the breath, the primordial fire. Big breath of life, sometimes called. So those shoulders beginning to melt, and those boulders, tight areas around the neck area. So many energy pathways go through the shoulders. It's important to keep them as supple as possible. And as you come to the 9th exhalation, inhalation, again, slip into neutral zone. Just observe how and where you're feeling. And then maybe notice what or how you are thinking. Because as we calm the energy, the heart becomes more peaceful. The emotions become more harmonious. And with any luck, our thinking becomes more harmonious, more positive. See if that's the case for you. And don't worry if it isn't, because in the cleaning of the body, sometimes less harmonious thoughts will arise and we won't feel particularly harmonious. That's okay. Just know that you're on a journey to let go and to replenish, to regenerate. And eventually comes that time when our thinking and our emotions are harmonized. And we do feel in greater congruency, greater positivity, for want of better words, more peaceful. And the concerns of the external, they become much more manageable because we're not attached to a particular result. Mary would say, it is what it is, and as it is, it is. We accept the present moment. We don't try and change what is. And that's a tricky one for people because a lot of us have been trained to have intentions to change this, to change that, and we try so hard and nothing happens. That's because we need to learn to surrender, I believe. Okay, now we're going to look at the umbilicus energy for the third set of 9 exhalation inhalations. And this is a descending energy that helps energy ascend. The equivalent is 11 and 15. But we're going to hold the left safety energy lock 20 with the right hand and the right safety energy lock 19 with the left. So here it's an opposite. We've moved up from that 14. If we were on that 14 to that, or to that 20 from that 14. So you just take your hand away. You leave your hand on your 19. You take your hand away from your 14 and move it up to the 20, which is on the forehead. Left and right of the midpoint of your forehead. And we'll hold that for another set of 9 exhalation inhalations. Here we go. And maybe you're beginning to feel a pulsation at these 2 energy locks, or maybe not. It helps to focus on the exhalation more than the inhalation to begin with. And this will activate the pulse a lot quicker. So that emphasis on the exhalation. In Chinese medicine, the umbilicus is known as the triple burner. And basically what that is 3 spaces in the body through which heat or fire can circulate more congruently, and so therefore it has an effect on the cooling or heating of the body. It's not really an organ, it's just a space for the primordial fire to circulate more freely. And it does this through the fascia, which is like this thin webbing that covers all the organs. The communication network, the matrix. Okay, when you've reached the 9th exhalation, inhalation, just relax. Notice how you feel. Where you feel. Maybe what you're thinking. No judging. Just allow the thoughts to arise naturally from the feeling. And simply be with them. It's not like you're focusing really hard on these feelings and thoughts. You're still exhaling, inhaling. You're witnessing. You're watching the river flow, which I think is a great song by Bob Dylan, by the way. Okay, the final set of 9 exhalation inhalations is the hug, opening up the bus line, 5th and 2nd depth, which are harmonized by 6th depth, primordial fire. The hand goes underneath the armpit, right goes under the left, thumb goes under shoulder girdle, fingers under the side of the shoulder blade. You can do that both sides. Or take one hand away and place it on the same side, high 1 if it's more comfortable. And we'll do 9 exhalation inhalations. Here we go. Just letting those shoulders drop, sink, move downward, allowing the spiral of light to descend in order to regenerate and ascend. Feel the connection between your feet and toes to the earth, if you can. And then the rising of the light as it moves up the back in order to go down the front. And if you practice by yourself at any time, just remember your environment. It's important to really have a peaceful environment to encourage the harmony within. It allows you to connect more with the primordial fire of the sixth depth. And when you reach the ninth exhalation, inhalation, just relax. Ignore the tendency sometimes to get up. Sometimes we've stirred up some energy which is maybe agitating the nervous system. And then you can always do some extra exhalations to calm that. You want to stay in the frequency and vibration of the field that you've created. And that field will certainly have the potential of being more harmonious than where you began, all things being equal. So be in that field, be in that dimension of frequency and vibration of energy. And be grateful for what you have received and for what you have let go of. And simply be. So, I hope that was calming, relaxing, and regenerating for you all. The diaphragm energy is part of the pattern of the fire sign of Sagittarius, and umbilicus, the astrological sign of Capricorn. And as you know, of late, I've been offering the possibility of us all connecting together and offering a healing via our palms, our jumper cables. And this represents number 26, safety energy lock, as well as sixth depth, the palms, okay? And if any of you are brave enough to admit that you are either a Sagittarian or a Capricorn, raise your hand. Do we have any Sagittarians or any Capricorns here? No Sagittarians. That's unusual. No Capricorns. Okay. Oh, did someone say, oh, I saw something. Yeah. No archers and no goats. Sagittarius pulls his bow back and lets the arrow go wherever it lands. And the goat climbs up the mountain steadily. Sometimes it has to go back in order to go forward. Those Capricornian people I know, that's exactly how they operate. Very disciplined and very focused. Sagittarius is very fiery, but is not so over-concerned with the top of the mountain. Yeah, let the arrow go. We'll deal with it when we arrive. It's a different directive. So anyway, if nobody wants to own up that they're actually a sun in Sagittarius or Capricorn, if you know about astrology, is anyone ascendant Sagittarius or ascendant Capricorn? No. Okay. Has anyone got any condition that they're working with at the moment that is uncomfortable and they really feel like they would benefit from a group connection? Speak or forever hold your peace. Come on, one of you, some of you is probably going to say, oh, there is some things I need some help with.
Yep.
Who is that?
Winnie.
Winnie. Okay, Winnie, let me find you. Would you like to share the screen?
Oh, Terry, you know how I am with the computer. How would
I will.
You do it.
Yeah, I've just got to find you. I don't know why I'm struggling to find you. Winnie, do you call yourself something else? Oh, there you are.
Winifred.
Yeah, no, it just says Winnie. It was me. I just, There you are. Good morning, Winnie. There you are. Okay, everybody. So as we've been doing, we connect to one another with our jumper cables. Winnie, however, you just place your hands in your groin, your 15s, and receive the light, the energy for whatever need you have, whether it's related to umbilicus diaphragm function or not, matters little at this point. Just if you have an area in your life, it doesn't have to be physical, it can be emotional, whatever. Just relax, place your hands in the groin. And we, the rest of us, we're all going to connect palm to palm, little finger to little finger, and offer Winnie that 6th depth primordial fire energy through our palms to bless her for whatever condition she may be wanting to harmonize. So close your eyes, everybody. Relax, keep your back as straight as you can. And just allow the jumper cable energy, which, by the way, comes through the solar plexus up into your arms, through the palms. And allow your jumper cables remotely connecting to Winnie. Blessing, harmonizing, begin. And the energy knows where to go. We just direct it towards Winnie. And again, as in the practice, we're allowing. We're not forcing, we're not trying, we're just allowing jumper cable energy to pass through us toward Winnie and back. Feel the connection to each other in the circle of light. And to Winnie, who is receiving. And for those of you that are not sure whether the time has come to allow the energy to just remain within, it normally, certainly for myself, you get a sensation of peace. The fire has moved and then it just settles as if the person has now received what they needed. Some of you may feel that as a sensation in the palms as the energy gradually reduces in intensity, might be one way of describing it. And then you know it's just time to be grateful. Because for what you've given, you've also received, and that's one of the qualities of being a practitioner of the healing arts, that if you're open enough in your giving, you will also be open to receiving. This whole harmonizing idea, balancing. All right, so when you're ready, just maybe place your palms face down or palms up in your lap and just witness where you are.
That was lovely, Terry. I can really feel my 25s connected with the chair. I mean, I'm really grounded, yeah.
Yeah.
And feel very peaceful.
Nice. So that's perfect, because we mentioned earlier how 11 and 25 is one way of activating diaphragm energy. Letting the energy go up the back in order for energy to move down the front. So you're in tune with the theme. That's great. Yeah. So, well, thank you, Winnie. Thank you for sharing with us. And let's just bring you. So, everyone, thank you for being here today with us all, sharing the primordial fire of sixth depth. I hope it was, at the very minimum, relaxing, and at the maximum, and re-energizing, powerful, whatever. It is whatever it is for you. No judgments there. And if you feel you need to practice these again, these different practices, go look at the recording, go listen to the recording, and then you can practice again or get your book and work with your book. there isn't a right time or wrong time in terms of how long you do it. We do the 36 breaths because it was something that Mary conjured up with her study, Mary Burmeister, of numerology. 3 and 6 is 9, end of a cycle, beginning of a new. But you can keep doing multiples until you feel harmonized. You become that energy, that level within yourself where you feel balanced. So, bless you all. The world continues spinning. We look to live in a world of harmony. And of course, as we move through the spiral, we come up against all kinds of resistances, but we do this work in order to move the blockages forward more positively. And I wish you that in all aspects of your life, soul, heart, mind, and body. And be wise, be safe, as all these other labels are introduced into the energy field. The COVIDs, the monkeypoxes, the this is and the that is. It's not to diminish what is actually happening, but it's to remind us that they are just labels for different energies at different frequencies that are causing a certain degree of disharmony. We look for the harmony. So continue to emphasize and focus on the harmony in your life. If you can, remember, bus line is thoughts, waistline is words, and hip line is deeds. See if you can progress as your feelings transform into more harmonious thinking. Harmony itself is a great mantra. Love is a great mantra. Words that uplift will allow more positive energy to circulate through your body, through your cells. Loving yourself is not a selfish thing, because that self is your true self. It's your universal soul encapsulated in your body as your reincarnating soul. Love that, and all else will be harmonized. If that makes any sense to you. All right, everybody, I will see you next week, same time, and we'll see if we have a presenter, a guest, a mystery guest. I'm coming up against some obstacles that need harmonizing there. There are people promising and people not promising, but let's just remain positive and look at the promising signs. Maybe someone will join us, maybe not. Otherwise, I'll be here, and hopefully you will be. So enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your, wherever you are in the world, and the rest of your weekend, if it's the weekend, if you're in Australia, and the rest of the week. All right, bless you, everybody. Take care, look after yourself. I shall now stop.
Terry.
Hello?
Terry, can I have 1 minute when at the end of this, when everybody's gone?
All right.
Okay.
All right, I'll let everybody go.
Okay.